Good morning and welcome to today's meeting on the Assembly Committee on Government Affairs for the 2025 legislative session. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Carter,
Present.
DeLong,
Present.
De Silva,
Here.
Edgeworth, Flanagan, Gallant, Goulding, Gurr, Hunt, Jackson, Karras, Kasama, Wynn, Chair Considine.
I am here, and if you would please mark Assemblymember Flanagan absent excused. Welcome today to the audience in Carson City, those joining by video conference in Las Vegas, and those listening over the internet. I'd like to begin with some housekeeping measures. Please first check and silence your electronic devices. If you wish to testify, please sign in at the table by the door and provide your business card to the committee secretary. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name and any affiliation for the record. Turn the microphone off each time you are done speaking. If you are providing handouts, please ensure that hard copies are available to members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted to our committee manager by 9 a.m. yesterday for our committee members. We do expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we disagree with someone else's position. I encourage committee members to ask questions and engage with the material presented. If you have any follow-up questions, please flag them for me so we can ensure that we balance our time effectively during today's meeting. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not interpret this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. And with that, let's get started. Today we will hear two bills. First, we will hear Assembly Bill 502, which revises provisions relating to public works, followed by Senate Bill 96, which designates January 27th as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. To ensure we get through everyone fairly and in a timely manner today, we will set a 20-minute time limit for each period of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having up to 2 minutes. To ensure we allow as many people as possible to testify, feel free to say ditto if someone else has already covered your testimony. And I would now like to open the hearing on Assembly Bill 502. To present this measure, we have Assemblymember Carter, who is joined by Labor Commissioner Brett Harris. Please go ahead whenever y'all are ready.
We'll see if this works. Good morning, Chair Considine and Vice Chair Wynn. This is Max Carter from Assembly District 12, the east side of Las Vegas. Here sitting with Brett Harris, Labor Commissioner, and I apologize, I don't know. Kate Allen, also with the Labor Commissioner's office. We're here to present AB 502, which came out of the Interim Government Affairs Committee. It's an industry bill that we worked jointly on with everybody, and we're probably going to find out that we did a good job of, it must be right, because we got everybody pissed off. So that's a good thing. So let me go through a little bit, but mostly that's what I was going to bring in. So the Labor Commissioner, this is about changing the structure and the support for the Labor Commissioner's office. And it's been very good because labor and management both have been in this. And this truly is a bill about the industry rather than favoring one group or another. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brett Harris, the Labor Commissioner for the state of Nevada.
Good morning, Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner for the record. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm glad to be here in person. When I got to present to this committee to talk about our agency, I had to be in Las Vegas. So it's nice to see you all. I can't believe you still have snow, but I made it. So as the Assemblymember Carter said, This has been something that we've been working on for quite a long time. To give you some background, I started in this position in September of 2022, actually the day after Labor Day in 2022. And very shortly thereafter, I had the privilege of sitting on a panel at the Infrastructure Summit, at which point former Business and Industry Director Terry Reynolds asked me in front of a group of people what I would do about this chapter if I could. The reason being because there is a lot of heartache over it. So at the time I was 3 weeks in and I said some combination of, well, there are a lot of words, which is still true. But what I think this bill does is it's a starting point of how we can make the whole chapter, or at least the part that our office does compliance for, function better, function a little bit more equitably, and function more predictably and reliably. So as you all know, and I have a presentation, I don't know if it's available.
We're working on the Zoom.
Okay, I have a thumb drive. Do you want me to grab?
No, it's in the,
Oh.
it's here. I don't know if it's gonna show the Zoom or that's the.
It would be fun if I did another one presentation,
Yeah,
Liz.
the Zoom is on, so.
All right, I'm just gonna go. So there it is. We're responsible for, oh, that's kind of halfway through it.
Oh, I'll get it back to the story.
Let's do this.
Scroll up.
Okay.
Where's the very last? There you go. Yeah, there, you got it.
Maybe I don't.
There it is. Okay. Next slide, please. So we administer NRS 338.010 through 130.
Is that the first slide?
No,
Yeah, shouldn't let an electrician
that's the first
touch
slide.
this
There we
stuff.
go. Okay, so everything that you see highlighted in bold are our responsibilities under public works compliance. So, and this is in addition to all of our wage and hour and private employment and our licensing responsibilities. So, in addition to doing complaints related to prevailing wage and certified payroll reporting, we also survey and set the prevailing wage, which is a 4-month-long survey where we receive all the payroll records from contractors in all classifications of work to set what is essentially construction minimum wage for public works projects. And then we enforce that construction minimum wage through prevailing wage claims. We also enforce the Apprenticeship Utilization Act, which I'm sure many of you know went through a pretty big change last session, and I'm going to show you kind of the difference in numbers and volume that the agency has experienced because of that change. We also maintain the actual database of projects. So when a project is initiated, a public body has the responsibility to file forms with our office, get a public works project number from our office, tell us what the value of that project is and what contractors are working on it, and we maintain that database. They are also supposed to update us when the project closes or finishes. They're supposed to be constantly auditing their certified payroll records and initiating any potential investigations into potential violations for us that they notice on those audits. So that is kind of the crux of what we're doing in our office as it relates to public works. We do this right now with, next slide please, 26 people, but that 26 people includes the 4 people that we got from Senate Bill 82 last session for the Apprenticeship Utilization Act. And again, I'm going to show you those numbers. 4 people for that in the concentration that it occurs, it is not enough. But historically, before that, we had 22 people to cover all of this. And again, including our wage and hour. So what happens is our wage and hour claims are so highly voluminous and so regulated that those kind of get priority over public works, which is much more audit heavy, a lot denser in technicality. The legal interpretations are more complex, and so it has been something that has sort of been a boogeyman in our office until, well, at least so long as I was here. I stole Kate Allen from Carson City Public Works. She's got 20 years of public works compliance experience, and when she came in January of 2024, she sat down with our big stack of backlog and started going through it. And what she's been able to do is incredible, but she does it, it's essentially a triage system between her, the Deputy Labor Commissioner, and myself. What she's done is tripled the prevailing wages gone to actual workers in a year, but it's still just the volume of claims is increasing overall. We have the Apprenticeship Utilization Act, which we are in the middle of the first reporting cycle for, so that has become its own agency task. And so what we're looking for with this bill is to focus a team, create a division specific to public works compliance. In May of 2024, we came in front of the Joint Committee on Government Affairs as an industry to talk about public works compliance. And what I spoke about in that, and what I have tried to communicate to LCB and what has made it in the bill, is that I think there are three major issues that happen with prevailing wage. Next slide. It's either confusing and inflexible, so people don't understand it, people interpret it differently. The enforcement is inconsistent depending on the public body that the public work is the owner of the project. And we don't have the staff in the Office of the Labor Commissioner to keep up with a regular flow. So these do get behind. With that, I'm going to actually look at the bill now. And again, as Assemblymember Carter said, nobody is all the way happy. So that means I think that it's probably on the right direction, but we all agree that something needs to change. So I think what you will hear today is, and I'll try to talk about it as I'm going through the bill where I think the sticky parts are, but they're all resolvable. And what really matters here is creating a consistent system so that a contractor or a worker who works on a public works project knows what to expect and knows what is expected of them and knows that they will get paid the right amount and the right amount of fringe benefits and the right amount for their classification or type of work that they're actually doing. With that being said, so Section 1 of AB 502 just cleans up some language from the Apprenticeship Utilization Act that was causing a lot of struggle for contractors, which is just removing that a contractor could only request an apprentice to work on a project 10 days prior to the actual their work beginning. So this lets them request the contractor or request the apprentice before that, so they have time to do background checks if they need to or any other onboarding process. Section 2 imposes timelines on the procedural requirements for public bodies to set up their actual public project or public works project number. And the reason that is important is because sometimes this gets going and we don't have any of the data and we start getting complaints or questions from the industry and we don't even know what they're talking about because the public body has not yet requested a public works project number. We don't know where the project is, what its value. So they already have to request these things. This would set some guardrails and timelines for when it actually has to happen so that we have the information in a timely manner. And then it does permit us to impose a penalty for failure to do that. Section 3 and 4 of the bill I'm going to explain together. This is a portion that I received a lot of calls about. So the penalty structure of, and this is where, again, nobody's happy, so we're probably going in the right direction. The penalty structure of NRS 338 is very rigid, but only my penalties. So I have an administrative penalty under 338.015 that we can impose up to $5,000 for each violation. I'm not that pressed about the amount because what happens is that penalty statute triggers 338.017, which is a mandatory disqualification of the contractor for a minimum of 3 years. And that's so rigid as to be, when we're talking about a chapter that is confusing, that everyone does differently, that sometimes the contractors have a really hard time getting answers or explanations from the public body that they're working for. We just need, my office needs more flexibility in the penalty structure to impose those actual monetary penalties, but issue a warning maybe for the disqualification, impose the monetary penalties, but assess a disqualification that's not 3 years, maybe 6 months, which is what the Apprenticeship Utilization has, or 1 year, which is what the Apprenticeship Utilization Act has. So just trying to, again, create consistency among or more of like a tiered approach to the penalty structure, while also giving us the flexibility to actually use those administrative penalties, which we are not using right now because they are so rigid. This would also, I think, help some of the morale in my office, because right now what happens is we do all of this work, we do the audits, we do the investigations, we produce the determinations, and we do it all for the public body, and then we give the public body forfeitures. So we send money back to them instead of assessing a penalty for ourselves, because to do so would mean that we disqualify this contractor. And again, we have found that generally when we tell a contractor they're doing it wrong, they do want to fix it. It is unusual, and that's going to come up again in another section of the bill that is causing some frustration. But this would give us the opportunity to really use those administrative penalties more judiciously in assessing them when they're appropriate for contractors that maybe don't need disqualification but do need more of a monetary penalty that goes to our office, and then using those disqualifications when it's appropriate, but not starting at a 3-year disqualification. And I believe there are going to be some submitted amendments on that. And again, the amounts of this on this language is not something that I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is our actual ability to use the penalty statutes in a way that is fair and equitable. Section 5. So Section 5 is actually the most important part to me, because Section 5 creates an avenue for public bodies who don't have the bandwidth to perform their own public works compliance to send a referral to my office. What happens now is we can get a complaint one of two ways, and this will be explained a little bit when I show you some numbers. We get third-party complaints, so a lot of organized labor has compliance departments. They file complaints, they actually request documents, they do their own audits, and then they initiate an investigation. So we'll receive a complaint, and then we have to send that to the public body who owns the project to investigate that complaint. They're supposed to get 30 days. It ends. We do extensions. It ends up, you'll hear some consternation about that. But essentially, it comes to us, and then we send it out. And then after they do their investigation, they're supposed to give us a determination with their findings, and then we audit that. So then we basically start over. And the contractor has an opportunity to object, and a third-party complainant has an opportunity to object. So what Section 5 does is, for the public bodies that do not have the bandwidth to perform this compliance on their own, because there are many, they would be able to simply refer a form, and it would say, they would say what the project is, who the suspected violating contractor is, and what the suspected violation is. But we would actually perform the audit of certified payroll reports. We would actually communicate with the contractor and issue the initial determination. The awarding body would no longer be tasked with doing that. So that would create some consistency, because, again, especially when we have smaller public bodies, they just don't have the bandwidth to perform these investigations, and they're not. Clark County is doing it very differently than NDOT is doing it very differently than City of Las Vegas, and everyone, and of those three, they're doing it fine, but it's just all different. So the creation of this would also allow them to refer these to the Public Works Compliance Division, which would be created by this bill. So we would be asking for positions with this bill to support the creation of the Public Works Compliance Division under our office, which would then handle these referrals, which would be the team designated to do the prevailing wage survey, to do the AUA audits, because as you'll see, I plan to move the 4 positions from SB 82 over into this team, because that just makes sense. Do the prevailing wage survey, and then all of the compliance that goes in between it. Section 6, this is another one that I've gotten a lot of calls about. So, I'm sorry. Going back to Section 5, if the public body does not do their own investigation or refer the investigation to us, we would be able to assess an investigative cost for their failure to do so. So again, if something does come to us and they didn't do it, and now we have to do it after the fact, there would be an investigative cost we could assess. Section 5 of the bill would remove language in, so last session there was a bill that stated that if a worker on a public works project is owed prevailing wage, and the contractor is a contractor who is found to willfully and repeatedly not pay prevailing wage, then we could assess damages in an amount equal to the missing wages. So they get their wages plus an equal amount in damages. What this bill proposes is removing the word willfully, because the way that this compliance works is that you can only, if you are doing it repeated, you are doing it willful. So the added word isn't, all it's doing is stopping us from actually using the statute when appropriate. Because there are many avenues when you don't pay prevailing wage to remedy the situation without us finding a violation. The statute actually says if we find that a contractor has remedied their own wages, we don't have to assess the prevailing wage as a violation. And that happens often. Kate recently did an audit. It was a voluntary audit with a contractor over 2 years where that contractor paid out over $900,000 or about $900,000. So we did not go through and assess those wages in each determination because the statute says we don't have to. But say that contractor told Kate to pound sand and we had to go all the way through to a determination, we should have the opportunity to assess. Now we can show, because this was something like 94 claims, a repeated action of doing this. So we would propose removing the word willfully. I know that you're going to hear opposition to that. Again, it is not one of those things that I think should be all end all of the bill. If we have to leave the word willfully, we can work with it. It just makes that assessment of damages portion very, very difficult for our investigators. And then Section 7 through 10 actually create the Public Works Compliance Division under our office. It amends NRS 607, which is the chapter that creates the Office of the Labor Commissioner, to include the Public Works Compliance Division. So we will designate positions directly to that. And then I go to the slide with the org chart? So this is what our proposal would be. So right now, we're proposing to add 4 additional positions under this bill. And then to put and I'm sorry that we're not great graphic artists, to put the Senate Bill 82 positions under the Public Works Compliance Division, because the Apprenticeship Utilization Act compliance is very concentrated. We got this year, the first reporting period was open from January 1 to February 15th. We got 280 reports. We had previously asked all the public bodies for their contractor lists. So then we sent out 980 letters to non-reporting contractors telling them, hey, you didn't do this. We have since remedied the about 75% non-reporting. To flip it, we now have about 25% non-reporting. We got 959 AUA reports that we're currently auditing. We have to send out about 300 non-reporting determinations to contractors that ignored us. And then we also are still in the middle of auditing those reports and issuing determinations for non-compliant contractors. So we used to get about 100 AUA complaints a year. As you just heard, we've got about 1,200 individual AUA matters to deal with right now that we have to initiate investigations before May 1st. After those 4 positions do that, there's plenty for them to do. There's the prevailing wage survey that goes from April to July. The prevailing wage survey is then audited, put together and published October 1st. And then we sort of start the AUA cycle all over again. And then again, in between all of that, we have the actual database of claims. We have the interpretation of prevailing wage and public works statutes, because we have kind of, we do a lot of outreach in the industry, but we also have just 2 email addresses dedicated to questions for the industry. So that's constantly monitored. Actually setting up and closing out public works projects, the complaints. Am I forgetting anything? So we can keep them busy, is my point. They would have plenty to do. Let's go back a little bit. I told you some of these numbers, but again, just to sort of give you, this is just through this year. So fiscal year 25, which will not end until June 30th. So we're on track to maintain that about 1,000 up in wage claims and general complaints that I spoke about in our agency overview. That's all pretty much static. Prevailing wage and certified payroll claims are significantly up. So we've gotten 185 already. We've got 3 months to go. And we would previously get about 120, again, if we're not considering AUA claims. If you look at prevailing wage and certified payroll claims and where they come from, only 32 of them have been initiated by a public body this year, and 153 have been initiated by a third party. So I think this would also maybe even that out to give public bodies a quicker, more sort of regimented way of sending us audits without having to do the investigations themselves. And then again, I told you these numbers. We got the 959 AUA reports, and we're doing 329 cases for non-reporting contractors. We've set up 800 public works project numbers, but also you keep in mind that we're at the end of the fiscal year, so a lot of them get set up right now in order to keep this prevailing wage before the new rates go up October 1. As you can see, part of this, again, is because we got 90 or 80 complaints all on one contractor at once that we consolidated, but our resolution rate for prevailing wage claims lags significantly behind our wage claims and general complaints, and it has a little bit to do with that referral out, referral in system, but it is also just because we do not have designated people to that. I think that covers everything that I wanted to go over with you guys and with the bill. Can I see the last slide? One more thing. This, so again, I'm proposing 4 positions to get started on this. This is in harmony with what's in the governor's recommendations for a public works compliance team, which I had pitched to him prior to this as well, because we had all been talking about this. And they are currently supportive of 4 positions. I'm not going to say that I think that 4 positions would clean this all up and get everything moving so smoothly. But it is a starting point, and at least it would designate with those AUA positions people to do this work, because it's very important. The industry cares about it a lot. We care about it a lot, and we just want it to run better, smoother, and more consistently and predictably for everyone involved.
We're good to go to questions.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, Max Carter, for the record. We're open for questions, Madam Chair. Thank you. This is going to be a good day.
Thank you for that presentation, and we do have some questions. We're going to start with Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate it. And thank you very much for the presentation, and I'll endeavor not to ask Assemblyman Carter any questions. But I do have a question for the Commissioner, or 2 questions, if I may. One is, in Section 5, you're talking about setting up a whole new division. Yes, you've identified 4 new employees in your overall structure. I just want to hear from you, is that a sufficient number of employees to manage the workload that you're now creating for yourself?
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. The honest answer to that is probably not. Ideally, I think we would want 8, but I also know that we have to start somewhere.
Okay, thanks. If I may ask a separate question. You had mentioned you expect amendments to be coming in. Are you expecting any of those to be friendly amendments that are going to be accepted by the bill sponsors, or are they going to be hostile amendments, or both?
Thank you, Mr. DeLong. Max Carter for the record. We anticipate 90% to be friendly amendments, and we're going to work hard to resolve any hostile amendments that are still hanging out there.
Our next question is from Assemblymember Karas.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for bringing this forth. Max, please don't talk anymore. Your poor voice. My question is going to be this, and it won't be for Assemblymember Carter. It will be probably for the Labor Commissioner herself. I want to go back to Section 6, subsection 2B, and the word willfully. This is my question. You mentioned, and correct me if I get the number wrong, I thought that you had said there were 96 claims from one contractor all at once. What I wanted to clarify was that 1 week's payroll where it could be explained by a computer glitch or something like that, or is it 96 claims spread over several weeks where you would actually know this person, this company does this all the time?
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. It was actually spread out over years, but public bodies use different software for certified payroll reporting, and you can program rates into that software. For our findings currently, it is an open case. I don't want to say too much. It looks like maybe the rate was not correctly programmed to begin with. So once that was brought to their attention, they were willing to remedy it.
May I have a follow-up, Chair? Thank you. What I'm trying to get at is I'm leery of taking out the word willfully, because if you know you have a bad actor that does this constantly, that's a problem, and they should be assessed a fine. If it's a once-in-a-while thing, we all know glitches happen. But I'm just wondering, is it going to be the Labor Commissioner or the Department of Business and Industry that's going to make that determination?
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. So we do currently, when we're examining claims under that statute, we do look for intent that is both willful and repeated. And the reason that I say that you can't really get to us a second time with one of these violations without it being that is because you can ask the awarding body for the rate, you can ask us for the rate, they're supposed to be auditing the payroll records in real time, month by month, to alert them to any wrong rates as the project is actually ongoing. And again, there's even the statutory permission to us that if the amount has already been remedied, that we don't have to assess the amount. So there is so much opportunity to fix the problem. It makes it so that we just have a really hard time actually using the willfully, when it says willfully, to assess the damages. So again, we are also, if that is a big sticking point, happy to leave the word willfully in. It just makes it more difficult for us to assess those damages. And then we think about it from a 608 wage claim. They're always entitled to damages if they're not paid timely. So it's just so different because a prevailing wage claim takes much longer. They can sit there waiting around, in this example, for years, and now they just get the back wages. They don't get any damages on top of that. So I think because of the way prevailing wage works, it doesn't require the word willfully, but again, I don't think it's a point we want to make a big fuss about either. If we want to leave it in, we're happy to leave it in.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have a question, I think, just to clarify in my mind on section 5. So the first half of section 5 allows for a claim to be referred to the Labor Commissioner. But then on subsection 9, there's a penalty for a jurisdiction that doesn't do the claim but makes the referral.
Or make a referral.
Okay, can you just clarify that process? Thank you.
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. First of all, I'm very sorry for interrupting you. Forgot where I was, apparently. It's an or. So if the awarding body does the investigation themselves or makes the referral as prescribed, no penalty. If they don't do either of those things, and then we get a third-party complaint, and then we have to do it, and they didn't do it, then we get to do the investigative cost or investigative penalty.
Thank you for that. And our next question is from Vice Chair Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner. And yes, I'm going to avoid asking my colleague questions. But in terms of, there's one, I think in your slides earlier, you had thousands of claims that is there pending, right? Are there, and I looked at your website, very, very detailed website, by the way. So good job on that. Are there like a list of folks who are on a no-no list? I know you have a disqualified contractors list, but are some of these claims from repeat offenders maybe? And are they posted anywhere in terms of folks who are repeat offenders per se? Because I don't know how much percentage of these claims are from folks who, you know, are on this list over and over again. So is there a way to I guess, my point is there a way to enforce compliance in a way where people don't end up back on this list over and over again? And if there's a list posted anywhere with this new office of, you know, you're creating to make sure that we let the public know that, hey, these are the folks that are appearing back on this list.
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. So we have a disqualification list. In terms of people that violate multiple times, we definitely have that data. We don't have a public list for that, but it is something that we get like public records requests on. People want to know about certain contractors and their history with us. I can again, we do have contractors that have multiple claims, but since I have been here, I cannot think of a contractor who has been filed on, like, where we went all the way to resolution, and then they got in, sorry to the microphone, and then they got in trouble again. So, and maybe I haven't been here long enough, and maybe we haven't, like, again, things haven't moved fast enough. There hasn't been enough time to see, but everyone's worked with us for the most part. And again, the people that we disqualify. And so it's very apparent who is willing to correct their noncompliance and who's not. And therefore, I think when you are noncompliant more than once, you definitely deserve an administrative penalty, but it could still have been a mistake. And I don't think mistakes of law people shouldn't be held accountable. They should be held accountable. But saying you cannot do this work, especially when the public bodies are needing people to do the work and the public bodies are saying to me, we don't want these contractors disqualified. I'm just trying to look for a balance.
So just to be clear, put on record, there hasn't been any repeat offender so far.
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. There are definitely repeat offenders. We have disqualified people. But somebody who has multiple claims doesn't necessarily mean, because for timing too, right? Like, they can get a claim and it cannot get to resolution, and they're making the same mistake on another project that they're on. But they've only realized it now because the mistake's been pointed out on this project. So now we're trying to fix all of them. That's what happens most often.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Gallant.
Thank you, Chair. Section 5, where you're talking about being able to take referrals and conduct the audits yourself. Is there that cost of doing this additional task, is that going to be absorbed by the state? Or will there be like an investigative cost associated to the contractor that you're investigating? How does that work exactly?
Brett Harris, Nevada Labor Commissioner, for the record. No, it would definitely require an increased cost to the state because we would anticipate, hopefully it would and get the awarding bodies to initiate more claims. That's what we think would happen. And so, yes, we would require more people to do more claims.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Those were all of our questions. So thank you for the presentation. We will now move on to testimony on the bill. Testimony can be provided in person in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone. And further instructions for providing testimony on a bill can be found on the agenda. Again, we will be maintaining a 20-minute time limit for the periods of support, opposition, and neutral testimony, with each speaker having 2 minutes. And as a reminder, support means you approve of the measure as written or as written with any proposed amendments that have been approved by the sponsor. Opposition means you do not approve of the measure as written, including if you wish to propose amendments that have not been approved by the sponsor. And neutral testimony means that you are offering insight on the measure but expressing no opinion. And we will begin with testimony in support here in Carson City on Assembly Bill 502. Please go right ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the committee, good to see you all. My name is Vince Saavedra, Vince, V-I-N-C-E, Saavedra, S-A-A-V-E-D-R-A, and I am the Executive Secretary Treasurer to the Southern Nevada Building and Construction Trades Unions. I think everyone up here knows who I am, so I'm not going to get into the spiel of who we are, what we do. We represent workers, right? And I think that some of the numbers you heard today, shows that she needs the help. If 70% of the people filing the claims are from a third party, that's crazy. It just shows you what's happening out there and how far behind we are. We're strongly supporting this bill. I'm going to kind of keep it short and sweet. I don't want to waste anybody's time. They did a great job. Assemblymember Carter did a great job presenting under fire like that. The Labor Commissioner, she did great. So I don't want to bore you all with our numbers and repeat what she already said, but just please know that all of Southern Nevada Building Trades is in full support of this bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Committee. For the record, my name is Wendy Colborn. I'm Chief of Staff for the Northern Nevada Building and Construction Trades Unions, and we are also in strong support of this bill for the same reasons that Executive Secretary Treasurer Saavedra listed. This has historically been one of the most under-resourced divisions in the state of Nevada, and they desperately need the support. We see our members going without wages for months when there's a prevailing wage claim. It's people struggling not to be able to pay their mortgages, not to be able to pay their bills, and nobody deserves that. We strongly support this bill, and we urge you to support it as well, and we thank Assemblyman Carter for bringing it forward. Thank you.
Greg Esposito, representing the Nevada State Pipe Trades. There is a police force and judicial system in every county of this state. If I go to a big box store and walk out with a set of golf clubs, it will be rapidly investigated. I will be found, prosecuted, and punished in a very defined, timely manner. The people that you represent, wage earners, workers, they probably don't even know who to call if they haven't gotten paid properly. If their boss has decided that, no, you didn't really work 40 hours last week, you worked 20, and I dare you to say something about it. They wouldn't know how to get in touch with the Labor Commissioner. The Assemblyman mentioned the website. That's actually not an easy process. I do compliance for my organization, and it takes a lot of time to fill the form out alone, and sometimes you get it wrong and it gets kicked back to you. I did help somebody, a friend of mine, with a wage claim when she had been cheated, and it took 2 months. 2 months for her to get $600 that was owed to her. And there was no penalty. The employer just eventually wrote her a check, and she was happy to get it. But in that time, bank fees, late fees, all that other sort of stuff. You represent people who work check to check, and imagine what would happen if you don't get paid on Friday and you can't feed your kids on Saturday, or your mortgage is late the next day. That's why we need this bill. That's why the Labor Commissioner needs a better enforcement mechanism, a more robust, more defined ability to go after employers and contractors who don't do right by their workers. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, Chair and Committee. My name is Omar Alvarez, for the record, O-M-A-R. Last name is Alvarez, A-L-V-A-R-E-Z. I'm here as a representative from La Una Local 169. We represent around 1,400 members, and I'm here to speak on so AB 502, we are in favor of it. Thank you very much.
Andy Donahue, Labor Employers Cooperation Education Trust. Glad to support this bill and the ongoing culture of compliance. Thank you.
Robert Diaz, representing the sheet metal workers of Smart Local 88, Southern Nevada. To Greg's point, there's a police force for everything. There's no 911 number you can call if you feel like you've been cheated. And just to discuss the level of the working class that are there making those dollars, they're typically making on a prevailing wage project much more than they would be without the prevailing wage, even if it is less than what they should be making. So they're hesitant to even call if there is an issue. They don't know that their above scale rate that they're getting paid is less than the scale they should be. Without somewhere to go and police to call or an enforcement agency, I don't think she's asking to produce an entire police agency, but 4 people could drastically improve the response time to some of these issues. We support this bill and we urge you to do the same. Thank you.
Assembly people, Madam Chair, Assembly members, committee, my name is Alfonso Lopez. I represent the sheet metal aerial transportation workers of Smart Local 88. We're here in full support for what the Labor Commissioner needs. She obviously needs help. A lot of these state agencies, are all undermanned and overworked. So whatever you guys can do to help her out would be greatly appreciated. So, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City wishing to testify in support of AB 502? Seeing no one approach, we will move to Las Vegas, and please begin when you are ready.
Hi, good morning, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jimmy Schwartz. I represent the Ironworkers Local 433. AB 502 is a bill focused on transparency. When contractors are required to report accurately and face real consequences for misclassification, workers benefit. Misclassification of funds in the construction trades is a significant issue. Last year, the Labor Commissioner's Office recovered $120,000 on behalf of the complaint from the Ironworkers Union. Workers were performing iron work and paid as laborers. It's about a $20 an hour difference. Unfortunately, these bad actors, the contractors, often exploit workers' ignorance of wage disparities and intimidate them with threats of job loss if they speak out. This bill will help protect your constituents who are being taken advantage of. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Joe Musa. I'm an organizer for District Council 16 and a proud member of the Glazers Local 2001 here in Las Vegas. I'm here this morning to voice my strong support for AB 502, a bill that aims to strengthen enforcement of apprenticeship mandates and modernize the penalty structure for repeat violators. This bill ensures that contractors are complying with all state apprenticeship requirements and introduces a penalty structure to hold contractors accountable. AB 502 revises disqualification terms and increases penalties for public works law violations. This bill ensures that Nevada labor laws are respected and enforced fairly across all public projects, and District Council 16 strongly supports AB 502. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and members of the Assembly. My name is Leslie Mujica, Executive Director of the IBEW NECA LMCC, here representing the unionized electrical industry. I am here today in support of Assembly Bill 502. Laws, rules, regulations, and legislation aren't suggestions or optional recommendations. They are statutes and mandates that must be followed and respected. In the past 10 years, I have witnessed numerous violations harming the livelihoods of our hardworking labor force. These failures to pay proper wages range from misclassification of workers, missing overtime pay, and other fringe benefits. Many of the contractors committing these violations are repeat offenders who continue to work on public projects. Our public dollars should go to contractors who abide by the law. This bill equips the Office of the Labor Commissioner with the necessary tools to investigate these violations, strengthen enforcement, and hold these non-compliant contractors accountable. There must be serious consequences in order to stop these subversive practices and protect our labor force. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, Assembly and Labor Commissioner. Thank you for putting this bill together. My name is Frederick Woznicki. I'm the business agent of the Ironworkers here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We strongly support this bill for many reasons that you've already heard. We put lots of hours out in the field protecting our young men that are going through apprenticeships. All the violations that occur, they know what they're doing. They own companies. We need our labor laws protected. I feel like it disrespects not only us as members to work, but also disrespects the lawmakers in this state. We strongly support this bill. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Lou DeSalvio for the record, President of Labor's Local 872. I strongly support and our organization, AB 502. I have to tell you, this has been a long time coming. I ran for state assembly in 2008 and tried to get something like this on. This office of the Labor Commissioner is in desperate need of help. As you could see, the complaints are filed mostly by a third party because we get it, we understand it. And just for you to kind of wrap your head around it, if you were to go to the Review Journal and just type in the search, workers owed $105,000. And you would see just on our strip alone, the lifeblood of this state was in jeopardy on the news and it had a contractor that cheated a worker, just one worker alone out of $19,000 and a total of $105,000 and another $56,000 in administrative penalties and went almost all the way to the Supreme Court. They finally gave up and lost in every venue. This has been going on for years. And I would hope and pray that you guys at least give the commissioner this baseline to start something because it's desperately needed. 4 is not enough. I could tell you that right now, but it's a great start. It's a great start to protect your constituents and to protect the workforce of this state. And I would please beg of you to pass AB 502. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Assembly members. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Sy Naum, Synaoum. I am a member of Southern Nevada Labor's Local 872. Just to address 502, it is important to all of us. The good contractors play by the rules. We know that. But the bad contractors are the one who obviously don't play by the rules. So we need some type of assistance in the enforcement mechanism. And thank you to Labor Commissioner Brett Harris. We're very much aware of how busy her office is and how much workload they have. So this help is very essential to us as workers, to the labor force in the state of Nevada, along with SB 82, where this would strengthen the apprenticeship mandates that were created so we can put people to work while they learn, while they get educated, and they can earn a living while they're trying to achieve their status of completing their apprenticeship program. It'll also create the compliance division on the public works, which when we discuss that, it's public money that goes into public works and public jobs. So in essence, we're just reinforcing the protections of that public money that goes out on these projects when that prevailing wage is set, and then we can enforce that. So with this assistance going into the Labor Commissioner's office,
And as Lou mentioned previously, 4 people may not be enough, but it is a start. And so we urge you to please support and approve AB 502. Thank you.
Good morning, Assembly Committee. My name is Dave Money. I'm the Director of Training for the Southern Nevada Roofers and Waterproofers Apprenticeship based in Las Vegas, and we strongly support AB 502. This bill strengthens the accountability and enforcement mechanisms that are critical to the success of apprenticeship programs. It ensures that contractors and public agencies uphold their commitments to apprentice utilization, fair wages, and transparency. By streamlining compliance and creating a dedicated enforcement division, we believe AB 502 protects our apprentices. This will reinforce our workforce development and support the integrity of our training investments. This is a step forward for quality, opportunity, and the future of skilled trades in Nevada. Thank you.
Hello, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jesus Loya. I'm the business manager for Local 162 for roofers and waterproofers, and we strongly support this bill. The bill creates rule enforcement, not just rules on paper for the contractors who don't follow the law. So we strongly urge you guys to pass it. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Christian Cespedes, organizer for the Painters Union, Local 159. I'm here in support of AB 502 because it strengthens the apprenticeship compliance and ensures fair labor practices in Nevada. It also establishes a public works compliance divisions to improve accountability, ensuring fair wages and better protections for workers. AB 502 creates stronger protections for workers and ensures more a level playing field for all contractors. Thank you.
Thank you. We are at about 15 minutes of the 20, so we're going to pause in Las Vegas and go to the phone lines. And if there's time left after the phone lines, we'll come back to Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone on the lines in support, giving support testimony on AB 502?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 502, please press *9 to take your place in the queue.
Hello, my name is Wendy Newman, representing Southern Nevada chapter of the National Electrical Contractors Association. For the sake of time, I will echo the sentiments that have been stated and strongly support AB 502. Thank you.
Caller, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Caller with the last 3 digits 962, please press *6 on your phone to unmute yourself. It appears that we're having issues with this caller. We'll move on to the next caller. If you recently joined the call and would like to testify in support of Assembly Bill 502, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no additional callers in support.
Thank you. We will now go back to Las Vegas in support of AB 502. So please go ahead when you are ready.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Leslie Patu, PATU. I'm with the Heat and Frost Insulators of Local 135. I'm here to support Bill AB 502. I mean, let's get together, just strengthen the labor laws we have already, and let's protect Nevada workers' rights. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in Las Vegas wishing to testify in support of AB 502? Seeing no one, we will move on to testimony in opposition to Assembly Bill 502, and we will begin in Carson City in person, and go ahead when you are ready.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Warren Hardy here today representing two clients, the Associated Builders and Contractors of Nevada and the Nevada Urban Consortium. I'm here regrettably under opposition due to the rules of the committee. I do want to thank Assemblyman Carter and the Labor Commission for bringing this forward. As my friend Lou DeSalvio said, this has been a long time coming. This has been a challenge for a lot of folks in the industry, and this is really the best good faith effort I've seen to get at the issues that are of concern. And so I appreciate them for bringing it forward. We do have just a couple of amendments we want to request, which is why I'm here under opposition. One of them is the word willfully, which Assemblymember Karras brought up. The concern, and I know the Labor Commissioner testified that you can find the rate, the local government can give you the rate, the Labor Commissioner's office. It's not the rate we're worried about, it's the classification. I had an occasion in my career where I called the Labor Commissioner to ask how I should classify a specific job on behalf of one of my members when I ran a construction trade association. Took his advice, we classified the worker that way. There was a complaint filed, and he was found to have misclassified the employee. So that's the challenge, and that's where the willful is so important and why I worked very hard to get it in. We also are concerned about the uncapped fees, but I've already spoken to the Labor Commissioner about that and Mr. Carter, and we believe that'll be resolved. With regard to local government, we're concerned with Section 5 regarding the penalties on local government. If these claims are turned over directly to the Labor Commissioner's office, we may never hear of them. We may never know about them, yet we're subject to a mandatory that says they shall be fined $1,000. And so we really want to have an opportunity to have that discussion with them. And also the time frame that's included in the bill. We want to have an opportunity to discuss that. But all in all, this is a good bill. We look forward to working and resolving these issues. And the Labor Commissioner called the current process inflexible and inconsistent. I'm going to nominate that for the understatement of the century. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Alexis Motorex with the Nevada Chapter Associated General Contractors, representing commercial construction in Northern Nevada. And we are here today in very soft, reluctant opposition to AB 502, but because of the committee rules, we don't have much of a choice. We sincerely appreciate being a part of the conversation as this bill was contemplated and drafted. We are opposed, though, because while we don't have issues with the bill conceptually, we would like to see language prohibiting a public owner from recouping any fines that they may be assessed through retention and having it ultimately be paid by the contractor. And we, too, would like to see the word willful remain in Section 6.
Good morning, Chair Considine, Vice Chair Nguyen, and members of the committee. For the record, Jennifer Berthiaume, that's Berthiaume, Government Affairs Manager for the Nevada Association of Counties, or NACO, whose members represent all 17 counties. I'll echo the comments of my colleague from the Urban Consortium. While counties typically do not weigh in on prevailing wage bills, our members feel that this bill goes a step too far and have concerns with the potentially unlimited nature of the fines. We do appreciate the sponsor and presenters mentioning potential amendments as we share the goal and intent of compliance with NRS 338 and our prevailing wage laws. We would like to work with the proponents on behalf of our members, both urban and rural, on potential amendments specific to sections 3 and 4, but at this time, NACO is opposed to AB 502. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and committee members. Brian Reeder speaking on behalf of the Nevada Contractors Association. Speaking opposed, but first the NCA wants to thank the Labor Commissioner not just for bringing the bill, but for working with our industry to make sure that we can comply with all public works laws, particularly the Apprentice Utilization Act. She's done a good job of speaking to our members, providing workshops and things like that, and we really appreciate that. NCA supports the enhanced compliance, the division that will handle enforcing current prevailing wage laws. We think that's a good thing. The opposition is just really removing the word willfully, like it's been discussed in committee already this morning. Mistakes are going to happen. Mistakes can also be repeated. At some point, repeated probably becomes willful, but we think the word willfully is valuable in NRS. So, thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Paul Moratkin with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber did speak with Labor Commissioner regarding the bill. We appreciate her time on AB 502. The Chamber's concern is very specific to Section 3, subsection B, regarding the proposed change of the fine structure, specifically not less than $5,000 for each subsequent violation. Our concern is there's no cap to that, and that would be rather departure from what we've seen typically in state law. Usually there's a up to or no less up to and so forth. So we were working with the Labor Commission on our proposed amendment, but that's our specific concern to the bill this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to AB 502? Seeing no one. In Las Vegas, is there anyone wishing to testify in opposition to AB 502? Seeing no one approach the table, AVH, is there anyone on the lines in opposition to AB 502?
If you would like to testify in opposition of Assembly Bill 502, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
This is Wiz Ruzard, W-I-Z-R-O-U-Z-A-R-D, Deputy State Director with Americans for Prosperity. We do want to applaud the bill sponsor and the Labor Commissioner for the hard work on this. We do think when you look at workers and our talent here in Nevada, definitely we need to make sure that there's due process for those bad actors. We do have concerns with Section 6 in terms of removing the word willful. As you know, businesses are intentional and very, very focused on trying to make sure that they're in compliance with the law. The last thing we need in Nevada is for a regulatory parameter to be so vague that businesses see significant risk and is hesitant to engage in the work that our state desperately need in building our economy to be an economy that works for all. So we encourage the bill sponsor to consider that. We did hear that in the presentation, and we greatly appreciate the work that's being done on this particular bill. Thank you.
Chair, we have no additional callers for opposition at this time.
Thank you. We will now move on to testimony in neutral. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify neutral on AB 502? Seeing no one coming to the table. In Las Vegas, is there anyone in Las Vegas wishing to testify in neutral on Assembly Bill 502? Seeing no movement to the table, AVH, is there anyone on the lines in the neutral position on AB 502?
If you would like to testify in neutral for Assembly Bill 502, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to testify in neutral.
Thank you. And would the presenters like to make any final remarks?
Okay, this is Max Carter for the record. I just want to say that I'm shocked we didn't get it out of LCB perfect the first time. But we are committed, I am committed to getting this to where it's a true industry bill, and we're close. And thank you all for the good questions.
Thank you. And I will now close the hearing on AB 502. I will now open the hearing on SB 96, which designates January 27th as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. To present this measure, we have Senator Krasner, who is joined by Elliot Malin, Alpine Strategies. And please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair Considine and members of the Assembly Government Affairs Committee. I am so happy to be here, and I thank you for this opportunity, Chair. I am State Senator Lisa Krasner, proudly representing State Senate District 16. It is my honor to present to you today Senate Bill 96, which designates January 27 as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. The Holocaust was a systematic persecution and murder of approximately 6 million Jewish people and 5 million others by the Nazi regime and its collaborators. It stands as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity. It is our moral imperative to ensure that such horrors are never forgotten and never repeated. Some background information. In 2005, the United Nations General Assembly officially designated January 27 as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, marking the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, the largest Nazi concentration and extermination camp. This International Day of Remembrance serves as a global platform to commemorate the victims of the Holocaust and to promote education about this dark chapter in human history. Here in Nevada, we have already taken steps to address the critical need for Holocaust and genocide education. In 2021, Assembly Bill 231 was enacted unanimously by the Nevada State Legislature, directing age-appropriate curriculum, increasing classroom resources, and providing professional development for educators on genocide education. Again, that bill passed unanimously, every Republican, every Democrat in this legislative body. However, recent findings underscore the importance of further action. A 2024 survey by the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust revealed a significant lack of knowledge about the Holocaust and other genocides among Nevadans, particularly among the younger generation of Nevadans. And this is deeply concerning. Senate Bill 96, the bill before you today, formally designates January 27 as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada. Specifically, the bill designates January 27 of each year as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada, requires the governor to issue an annual proclamation encouraging the observance of the day, requires the news media, state and local officers, public schools, and other public and private entities to bring to the attention of the people of Nevada information about the Holocaust and other genocides throughout history, emphasizes the importance of honoring and remembering the victims of the Holocaust and other genocides, and reaffirms our commitment to combating hate in all forms. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Elliot Mallon for the record. Today I am wearing a bit of a different hat. You usually know me here as a lobbyist with Alpine Strategies, but I also serve as the chair of the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust. And I want to thank Senator Krasner for bringing this forward. I want to make a special mention here. Senator Krasner called me and said, I want to do something this session about the Holocaust. And I will never forget that. I was driving north in Reno, and I had some thought, and I said, what's better than using this as an opportunity to teach people about the Holocaust and genocide? Before I get into the very quick slideshow, which I will breeze through because I want to respect everybody's time, I know that there have been some opposition letters that have come out on this bill because of the preamble, which designates or talks about other genocides. I want to address that quickly. These come from Assembly Bill 231 in 2021. And so we are just mirroring what we've already put into state statute. The legal definition of genocide, they are correct in saying that some of these might not qualify as genocides, but we in Nevada found it important to recognize these communities and to continue to recognize these communities. The legal definition is an act with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnical, racial, or religious group. And then there's 5 acts of genocide. So with that, I'm going to get into this presentation and do it very quickly, and then we'll go into questions. Thank you. All right. Maybe. I'm not going to read the statutory enactment for the council, but we are in a statutory agency of the state of Nevada under NRS 233G. So we did run a survey here in Nevada. We were fortunate to have some partners that actually were able to privately fund this. So we also get $100,000 from the state budget annually. So no taxpayer dollars went into this survey, and we actually got a 50% discount on it as well, which was awesome. Nevadans currently have trouble defining anti-Semitism. A majority of Nevadans don't know what anti-Semitism is. A majority of Nevadans have heard of the Holocaust. It's a positive. 8% have had, they've heard about it, they think, and then we have about 3% who have not heard about it at all. As I mentioned really fast as I go through this, the survey was done through the voter file. So we didn't survey school children, we surveyed Nevada voters. Because we wanted to see as time went on, what was the level of education, what was the impact on an individual. 94% of Nevadans believe the Holocaust happened. That's good news that an overwhelming majority believe in it. 86% believe that the Holocaust has been accurately described. 8%, so almost 1 in 10 Nevadans, believe that the number was exaggerated. 1%, so 1 in 100 Nevadans, believe that it's a myth. 5%, so 5 in every 100 Nevadans, don't know. 37% of Nevadans believe that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. 36% are not sure. Something that's quite alarming to me is that 7% said 20 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust. So to be very clear, the Jewish population at its height was about 1939, and we were about 16.5 million people. To this day, the Jewish population of the world has not recovered from the Holocaust. But we do have people that also believe, about 1 in 5 Nevadans believe that it was lower than 6 million Jews. We know that distortion and denial is increasing here in Nevada. So more Nevadans say Holocaust denial is increasing. 48% are not sure. They don't know. I will say that I think part of that 48% is because we actually did survey statewide, and we do see disparity between the rural communities and urban centers in Holocaust education, and we were working to figure out how to get services and resources out to the rural communities. 14% of Nevadans know someone who does not believe the Holocaust happened or attempts to minimize its casualties. 24% are parents with children under 18. 26% of those are 18 to 34-year-olds. 28% in rural communities. 19% non-white, non-Hispanic. 1/3 of respondents say online Holocaust denial has increased. Again, 47% are just not sure, but we are seeing that a plurality are seeing an increase in Holocaust denial and distortion. So some takeaways, most respondents personally believe the Holocaust occurred, but there are signs of a lack of knowledge here in Nevada. And this is not unique to Nevada. This is happening nationwide and worldwide. 10% have not heard the term genocide before this survey. That is 14% of 18 to 34-year-olds and 35 to 44-year-olds. 19% of people with a high school level education, 17% of those in the rural counties, and 15% of those who are non-white, non-Hispanic. Nearly 3 in 10 respondents could not name a genocide. Numbers are worse when we, among key demographics, young, parents, lower formal education. So again, 39% of 18 to 34-year-olds could not name a single genocide. This includes the Holocaust. A quarter of Nevadans could not name the Holocaust as a genocide. When we asked Nevadans to define genocide, we gave them an option to choose from, and a majority could not define it, even when presented the correct definition. 41% of those with a high school level education could not name the Holocaust, and 46% rural counties. Nearly half of Nevadans could not name a single camp or ghetto from the Holocaust, not Auschwitz, not Majdanek, not Treblinka, not the Warsaw Ghetto. Again, 59% in rural counties, 53% of 18 to 34-year-olds, 56% of people with children under the age of 18, and 64% with high school level education. Nevadans don't believe that the Holocaust has been adequately taught to their school children by a majority, 58 to 42%. So we know that Holocaust knowledge is low, especially among younger Nevadans and those in our rural communities. Younger Nevadans report high knowledge of the Holocaust, but they can't actually name anything specific about it. They can't name a cause, they can't name a camp. They just think that they know more. So again, when Senator Krasner called and said, what can I do? And we had just run this survey, and I thought, how about we bring International Holocaust Remembrance Day to Nevada and use this as a tool that doesn't cost the state any money to further Holocaust education in our state, to try to combat denial and distortion, to try to combat hate in all forms. I was before this committee, I think last week, testifying in support of Muslim American Heritage Month. And that same hate we see constantly. And what we aim to do is to combat that hate. And then we have an appendix, just so you know some of the information that we received and we were looking at. I'm deeply thankful to serve as the chair of the Governor's Advisory Council on Education relating to the Holocaust. I will tell you a short anecdotal story, and then I will be ready for questions. I traveled to Washington, D.C. as chair with members of the council. We met with the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. We met with our federal delegation about getting resources into Nevada. We also met with the State Department Deputy Special Envoy for Holocaust Issues. And the Deputy Special Envoy mentioned to me how great Nevada is doing compared to the rest of the country. And so you just saw data showing that we are struggling. What does that say about the rest of the country? So I want to say that I am proud of the work that we have done. There is a lot of work to do. At the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum, their last online conference, there were just over 1,000 participants. Of those participants, over 900 were from the state of Nevada. So we are doing really good work with limited resources. And this is another tool to help us teach Nevadans and fulfill that mandate. With that, thank you, Chair, and I think we're ready for questions.
Thank you, committee. Do we have any questions? I will start with Assemblymember De Silva.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Mr. Mallon and Senator Krasner for bringing this very important bill. I am a school teacher. I teach social studies, and I too have seen, and I'm concerned about the fact that there's so many younger people who don't have the sort of information or sort of even study of the Holocaust in particular. And also, what's even more alarming is that you have open conversations in class about students who even will deny the Holocaust, which is when I first became a teacher, 2013. This was not something that would take place, and I'm almost sure that this is coming from online sources that don't have any sort of veracity attached to them, or podcasts and things like that. So I'm very happy to see that this bill comes about. So I have a quick two-part question. One, would you mind me joining in as a co-sponsor? And then number two, what kind of a programmatic thrust do you see coming about with the establishment now of a Holocaust Remembrance Day here in Nevada? Thank you.
Chair Considine, thank you. Thank you for your question, Assembly Member De Silva. Yes, Absolutely, yes. I would love to have you sign on as State Senator Lisa Krasner, proudly representing State Senate District 16. Yes, Assemblymember De Silva would love to have you sign on as a co-sponsor. Almost every member of the Nevada Senate signed on as a co-sponsor. So everybody on this committee is welcome. Just let me know. We'll sign you on at the work session. Hopefully, we will get one. What was the second question? I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. What kind of a programmatic thrust do you see programming coming out of the establishment now of the Holocaust Remembrance Day in our
Well,
state?
I'll turn it over to Elliot in a second, but I think that the fact that we're going to have January 27th designated as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Nevada is a huge start, because now we have a day when teachers can bring it up to their students. Hey, did you guys know that today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day? It's January 27th. What was the Holocaust? What's important to take away from the Holocaust? So it sort of gives a day to discuss. So whether some people were discussing it at the beginning, at the middle, at the end of the school year, now we have a day when they can definitely bring it up. And I'll let Elliot go on from there.
Thank you, Elliot Mallon, for the record. I don't want to get the little sign. So I will say this. We're in a bit of a time crunch on this bill, and I'm deeply thankful for the chair bringing it forward early. I think this might be your first Senate bill of the session. In about 3 weeks' time, we are going to be hosting a commemoration at the governor's mansion. We do this every legislative session. Our goal actually is to have this bill signed by the governor at that commemoration with survivors. It will be one of the last times that we will have survivors here in Carson City, unfortunately. That's one part of the programmatic piece here. But two, it requires the governor to create a proclamation for this, right? And by doing so, we're going to grab some media attention and we're going to be able to program around it. We are also doing the next night, and I will get everybody an invite for that in this legislative building, another commemoration in Reno. So the reason for that day in specific is it falls on Yom HaShoah, which in our calendar is Holocaust Memorial Day. And so we are planning to use this as a programmatic tool with the schools, with the community. So our mandate as the governor's council is not just schools, it's all Nevadans. So we're trying to use this as a tool to get out and do programs across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from Assemblymember Karas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Senator Krasner and Elliot, for bringing this forward. Through the course of my life, I've noticed that the awareness of this has become less and less, and misconceptions. I grew up in Chicago. There is a huge Jewish community there, Skokie, it's just outside of the city. My very good friend in high school, his grandmother was a survivor from the concentration camps, and nothing brings it home more than hearing those personal stories with the number tattooed along her forearm. That being said, I should get on to my question. I'm sorry, I'm very emotional about this topic. It upsets me every time I realize how many people have just forgotten or disbelieve. My question is this, though. Because these atrocities are so horrific, do you have suggestions on what age? Are you going to be sensitive to the age that you bring this up in a more descriptive way, so that children in school, it was horrible what happened, but in the beginning, in the younger ages, just bring it up as a day and then proceed as they get older where they can really understand what happened.
State Senator Lisa Krasner, representing State Senate District 16. Thank you for your question, Assemblymember Karas, and I appreciate your story. In 2021, we brought Assembly Bill 231, and that really dealt with Holocaust and other genocide education. In that bill, we had some things that were specific, but we tried to leave it open so that teachers could do what they thought was age appropriate. And I'll let Elliot also chime in on that.
Elliot Mallon for the record. Thank you for that question. I believe Skokie is where the Illinois Holocaust Museum actually is. On a mention of that, I am also been very thankful to work with our partners at UNLV who are behind me right now, and trying to advance this as well and bringing more resources to schools that are age appropriate. Typically speaking, we see that we start Holocaust education around 6th or 7th grade. That being said, that there are ways that we can bring it in an age-appropriate manner to those that are a bit younger at times. Great examples are graphic novels like Mouse. Our purpose today is to start the conversation with all Nevadans and educate all Nevadans, because I think you're right. And the denial, I think that everybody has seen, especially over the last 18 or so months, it's heartbreaking for me. A lot of you have known me for quite some time, have reached out over that time. But we are looking at how do we bring this as an age-appropriate manner to every Nevadan for that demographic. And that's really important to us.
And I just have one more comment, Chair Considine. Thank you. State Senator Lisa Krasner for Senate District 16. The fact that we are going to have this one day, January 27th, designated as International Holocaust Remembrance Day, opens the door. You know, the governor will give his proclamation, schools and other entities will make some mention about it, and it opens the door and reminds people, teachers, to have a small conversation about it, even if it's a couple minutes. Just opening the door to the conversation, letting people know about, oh, today's International Holocaust Remembrance Day. That's the day we remember the survivors of the Holocaust and other genocides. And then if children have questions, they can be answered. We just try to keep it sort of open and easy. Thank you.
A very quick follow-up, Chair? Quickly. Could I co-sponsor?
State Senator Lisa Krasner, proudly representing State Senate District 16. Yes, thank you. Honored to have you on it.
Thank you. And our next question is from Assemblymember Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. Great presentation, great bill. I will also love to be a co-sponsor on this bill. I just want a clarification. The term such as, does that give space to include other genocides that occurred that are not listed in the bill?
Elliot Mallon for the record. Such as is a reference from the AB 231. So the genocides that we've utilized there and recognized. It's important to know that for us as part of state statute, otherwise we have to utilize the Genocide Convention's Article 2 requirements to recognize those genocides. So again, that's an act with the intent to destroy in whole or in part a protected class of people. But yes, we want to talk about that.
And State Senator Lisa Krasner, proudly representing State Senate District 16. Yes, of course, we'd love to have you sign on as a co-sponsor. Thank you, Assemblymember Jackson. And just to give a shout out, that bill that we keep referencing, Assembly Bill 231 from the 2021 Nevada Legislative Session, was a bill that Assemblymember Leslie Cohen and former Assemblywoman Lisa Krasner co-sponsored here in the Nevada Legislature, and it did pass unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions from the committee, thank you for your presentation. We would like to move on to testimony on the bill. Again, testimony can be provided in person in Carson City, via video conference in Las Vegas, or over the phone, and further instructions for providing testimony on the bill can be found on the agenda. We are maintaining a 20-minute time limit for periods of support, opposition, and neutral testimony today. Speakers will have up to 2 minutes. And we would like to begin with testimony in support of SB 96 here in Carson City. Go ahead when you're ready.
My name is Brianna Cowan, for the record, B-R-I-A-N-N-A, C-O-W-A-N. I represent Douglas County Republican Women and Douglas County Republican Central Committee. And I'd like to, Chair and Committee, I'd like to thank you for having this hearing. As many of you already discussed, this is an emotional topic. I would like to first say that one of the things that makes our republic so great is that we strive to be a more perfect union. And that is us always seeing that all people are created equal. And it is important that we remind every generation, including this one sitting here, what it means when we do not see people as equal. The Holocaust is a visceral reminder of what happens when people are not treated equal. And it is important and incumbent upon us to create memorials to remind every subsequent generation of what it means to have a more perfect union and that we always strive to treat people equal. We'd like to thank you for sponsoring this bill, for many of you who've joined on, and for Senator Krasner as well. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Alejandro Rodriguez, Nevada System of Higher Education. NSHE is happy to once again strongly support SB 96. This bill aligns with NSHE's commitment of promoting education, tolerance, and understanding within our communities. We aim to foster an environment of reflection and learning, ensuring that tragedies such as the Holocaust are neither forgotten nor repeated. We commend the legislature for considering this bipartisan legislation and urge its passage to reaffirm Nevada's commitment to remembrance and education. Thank you so much.
Hi, Austin Daly on behalf of the University of Nevada, Reno. For the record, we are in support of SB 96 as this bill will help continue to bring awareness and education to the history of the Holocaust and its effects on the Jewish community to this day. At the university, we are proud to have a minor in Holocaust, Genocide, and Peace Studies program and are committed to expanding educational opportunities at the university further. This is an important day of remembrance, and we are happy to be in support on behalf of our Jewish students, faculty, staff, and community members. Thank you.
Chair Constantine, members of the Government Affairs Committee, for the record, Leonardo Benavides with UNLV, here today proudly in support of SB 96. I just want to note that this past January 27th, I had the honor of attending the 19th Annual UN-designated International Holocaust Remembrance Day that was hosted at UNLV thanks to the efforts of our Jewish faculty and staff group and Hillel Las Vegas. It was a solemn occasion as we remembered the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the Auschwitz concentration and extermination camp, but also the adversity of the human spirit was in full force. We have come far as a society, but it's always important to study and learn lessons from even the worst moments in human history so we don't repeat a vicious cycle. It is why we're also proud of our history graduate program and their work with the Nevada Center for Humanity to put together the exhibit, The Holocaust, Reconstructing Shattered Humanity, that was at the Governor Joe Lombardo's office just this past spring. And while I know our university has only scratched the surface of bringing awareness and educating the general public of this dark moment in recent human history, we hope to do so much more in the coming years, especially as Mr. Mallon noted earlier, in working alongside the Governor's Advisory Council on education relating to the Holocaust. That's why SB 96 is so important to us. So thank you today.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City wishing to provide testimony in support of SB 96? Seeing no one, we will move to Las Vegas. If there's anyone in Las Vegas wishing to provide testimony in support of AB 96, I can't see you. Doesn't look like there is anyone in Las Vegas, so we will move to AVH. Is there anyone on the phone lines in support of SB 96?
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 96, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Hi, this is Yolanda Canuck, Yolanda, last name Knaak. Thank you so much, Senator Krasner, for bringing this forward, and thank you for everyone for supporting it. I am in favor, of course, of this bill. I think that we need to have this reminder. We should never forget. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Hardworking Committee. This is Dora Martinez representing the Nevada Disability Pre-Action Coalition, and we want to thank the amazing Senator Lisa Krasner and her co-host, and we wholeheartedly support this bill, and we hope that you do too. Thank you.
Chair, we have no additional callers in support.
Thank you. We will now move on to any opposition on SB 96. Is there anyone in Carson City wishing to testify in opposition to SB 96? Seeing no one, we'll go back to Las Vegas. Still seeing no one in Las Vegas. AVH, we're back to you on the phone lines for opposition to SB 96.
If you would like to testify in opposition of Senate Bill 96, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to testify in opposition.
Thank you. We will now move on to neutral testimony. Is there anyone here in Carson City wishing to testify in neutral on SB 96? Seeing no one and going to Vegas and seeing no one in Las Vegas. AVH, is there anyone wishing to testify in neutral on SB 96?
If you would like to testify under neutral for Senate Bill 96, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to testify under neutral.
Thank you. Would the presenters like to give any final remarks? Please state your name for the record and go ahead.
State Senator Lisa Krasner, proudly representing State Senate District 16. Thank you, Chair Considine and members of the Assembly Government Affairs Committee, for giving me the opportunity to be here today to present this bill before you. In closing, by enacting International Holocaust Remembrance Day into Nevada law, we are sending a clear message that Nevada is committed to remembering the past, educating the present, and safeguarding the future. This bill, SB 96, will ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust and other genocides are never forgotten. I would sincerely appreciate your support of SB 96. Thank you.
Thank you, and I will now close the hearing on SB 96. Before we move on to public comment, I do have a comment I would like to put on the record. Over the last 2 months in this committee, we have been fortunate enough to have multiple bills come before us in celebration and recognition of diverse groups and identities, noteworthy individuals, and periods of historical significance. In these presentations, we've been able to learn about the people, remembrances, and events that we have and continue to shape the fabric of our state and our country. And we've had the opportunity to hear from hundreds of individuals about how much this recognition and acknowledgement means to them. As we watch events continue to unfold in our federal government, around the country, and across the globe that put diverse memories, cultures, and ways of life at risk of being ignored, erased, and forgotten, I am so proud to reside in a state that instead prioritized recognition, commemoration, and celebration. We will now move on to public comment. Public comment is not an opportunity to rehear testimony on a bill, and we ask that you please keep your public comment to topics within the jurisdiction of this committee. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person or telephonically and may submit public comment up to 24 hours after the meeting. Instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda. To provide public comment telephonically, dial 888-475-4499. When prompted to provide the meeting ID, enter 894-7229-4352, and then press pound when prompted for the participant ID. Each person will have up to 2 minutes to provide testimony. Please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Is there any public comment here in Carson City? Seeing none? Seeing no one in Las Vegas? AVH, is there anyone on the lines for public comment?
If you would like to provide public comment, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you. Our next meeting will be Wednesday, April 2nd at 8:30 a.m. in room 4100. That concludes our meeting today. The meeting is adjourned.